I want to tell you something tonight that will shake the foundation of everything you think you know about bringing someone back into your life. Not because it's complicated, because it's so simple you've been walking past it for months, maybe years. There is a specific scene just 10 seconds long that, when looped in your imagination before sleep, creates such a disturbance in consciousness that the three-dimensional reality has no choice but to conform. I have tested this 23 times with students who came to me, desperate, heartbroken, convinced their situation was the exception. It worked 23 times. Not 22. Not most of the time. Every single time. And tonight I'm going to give you the exact scene. But before I do, I need you to understand why it works. Because if you use this as just another technique, another desperate attempt to manipulate someone back into your life, it will fail. Not because the law failed, the law never fails, but because you'll be performing it from the wrong state entirely. Let me ask you something. Right now, as you're reading this, what are you feeling? Are you feeling the ache of their absence? The desperate hope that maybe finally this will be the thing that works? The fear that it won't? That tightness in your chest when you see their name or think about them with someone else? I know that feeling. I know it intimately. And I'm here to tell you something that might sting at first. That feeling is exactly why they're not here. Not because you don't deserve them. Not because they don't love you. Not because your situation is impossible, but because what you are being right now is the person whose reality includes their absence. You are not attracting what you want. You are attracting what you are. And right now, you are someone who wants them. Someone who needs them. Someone who is waiting for them. And wanting, needing, waiting. These are all assumptions of absence. These are all states of not having. But here's what changes everything. There is a version of you right now existing in consciousness for whom they are already back. Not coming back. Back. Present. In your life. In your bed. In your daily reality. That version of you doesn't hope. Doesn't wait. Doesn't perform techniques to make it happen. That version of you simply lives in a reality where the reconciliation already occurred. And that version of you is not some distant fantasy. It's a state you can step into right now, this very moment, by doing one thing, feeling it real. Now let me give you the scene. But first I need to destroy a few myths you've been carrying. You think the scene needs to be elaborate. A full movie with dialogue, sensory details, vivid colors, complex interactions. You've been told to imagine the entire reunion, the conversation, every word they say, every emotion you'll feel. You've been exhausting yourself, trying to visualize for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, building this enormous mental production. Stop. The most powerful imaginal acts I have ever witnessed were the simplest. 10 seconds. One touch. One word. One feeling. The mind thinks complexity creates power. Consciousness knows that feeling creates reality. Here is the scene that has brought 23 people back into the lives of those who loved them. You are in your home. Evening. You hear a sound behind you. You turn. They are there. You make eye contact. And in that glance, just that glance, you feel the settled, knowing that they belong there. Not the excitement of someone who has just returned after absence. The quiet, undramatic recognition of someone who has always been there. That's it. No dialogue needed. No explanation of how they got there or why they came back. No conversation about the past or the pain. Just the simple, ordinary, profoundly boring reality of them being present in your space again, as if they never left. Now here is what makes this work. It's not the scene itself. The scene is just a vehicle. What makes this work is the assumption underneath the scene. When you loop this 10-second moment before sleep, and I mean truly loop it, Not visualize it, but inhabit it. You are not imagining them coming back. You are remembering a reality that already exists. You are not in the state of hoping they return. You are in the state of someone for whom their presence is so normal, so assumed, so natural, that you don't even feel grateful for it anymore. You just feel them. Do you understand the difference gratitude implies it was once missing? Excitement implies it's new. Relief implies you were worried. But the state I'm pointing you toward has none of that. It's just the quiet, settled, unremarkable knowing that this is how things are. I tell you, when you can loop that scene with that feeling, the feeling of course they're here, where else would they be? You create an assumption so powerful that the three-dimensional world must rearrange itself to reflect it. Not might. Must. Now I know what some of you are thinking. But Neville, you don't understand my situation. We haven't spoken in months. They're with someone else. They said they never want to see me again. They blocked me. It's been years. I hear you. And I'm telling you with every ounce of authority I possess, your circumstances do not matter. Not even a little bit. Your circumstances are the physical shadow of a past assumption. They are old data. They are yesterday's consciousness made visible today. When you shift your assumption, truly shift it. Not perform, shifting it. The circumstances must follow. This is law. This is not hope or wishful thinking or positive psychology. This is the fundamental operating principle of reality itself. Consciousness creates circumstance, not the other way around. So when you see their Instagram with someone else, when your mutual friend tells you they've moved on, when the silence stretches into weeks, months, years, you must recognize that for what it is, the three-dimensional world, showing you who you were not, who you are becoming. Let me tell you exactly how to do this, step by step, because precision matters here. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, you will enter what I call the state akin to sleep satis. This is the drowsy state between waking and sleeping, when your conscious mind relaxes its grip and your subconscious becomes highly impressionable. Lie down. Close your eyes. Let your body settle. Don't force relaxation, invite it. Feel your breathing slow. Feel the weight of your body against the bed. You're not trying to stay awake, and you're not trying to fall asleep. You're hovering in that beautiful borderland where imagination becomes real. Now from that state, you construct the scene. Keep it simple. You hear a sound. You turn. They're there. Eye contact. That settled feeling of course, loop it. Turn they're there, feeling. Turn they're there, feeling. Turn they're there, feeling. Not 3 times because some rule says so. Loop it until the feeling becomes natural, until it stops feeling like imagination and starts feeling like memory, until you're no longer creating a scene, you're returning to one. The first few loops will feel like work. You'll be aware you're imagining. Your logical mind will protest. This isn't real. They're not actually here. This is just visualization. Ignore that voice. That's the old consciousness fighting for its survival. Keep looping. Keep feeling. And somewhere around the 4th, 5th, 6th repetition, something shifts. The scene stops being something you're doing and becomes something that's happening. You stop watching it and start being in it. When that shift occurs, and you'll know it when it does, because your body will respond as if it's real, you can let yourself drift into sleep. The assumption has been impressed. The seed has been planted. Your subconscious will do the rest. Now here is what happens in the 48 hours after you do this correctly. Understand, I'm not saying they will knock on your door in 48 hours. Sometimes they do. I've had students call me in shock because the person texted them within 12 hours. But that's not what I'm promising you. What I'm promising you is that within 48 hours, you will feel different. And when you feel different, you are different. And when you are different, your reality must become different. You will wake up the next morning, and there will be a lightness. The desperate ache will be gone, not suppressed gone. You won't be constantly checking your phone. You won't be stalking their social media. You won't be replaying the breakup or the argument or the silence. Because in consciousness, where the only reality exists, they're already back. So what is there to wait for? And this is where most people sabotage themselves. They do the scene, they feel the shift, and then they immediately start looking for evidence. Did they text? Did they call? Did they like my photo? And in that looking, they snap right back into the state of absence, of waiting, of not having. Don't do that. When you wake up knowing they're yours, you don't look for proof. Someone who has their person doesn't check if they have their person. They just live. So you live. You go about your day from the state of someone who is in a beautiful, fulfilled relationship, not trying to create one, in one. And here is the mystery that my rational mind took years to accept. The three-dimensional world does not care about your logic. It does not care about the timeline of your breakup, or the reasons you separated, or the things they said, or the new person in their life. The three-dimensional world cares only about one thing, what you are assuming in consciousness. When you assume reunion, the three-dimensional world must produce reunion. It doesn't have a choice. It's not being kind or granting you a favor. It's obeying the only law it knows as within, so without. So they will come back, not because you manipulated them, not because you used a technique, not because the universe took pity on you. They will come back because in consciousness they never left. And the three-dimensional reality is simply catching up to what is already true in the only place that matters. But and this is crucial, they might come back in a way you don't expect. It might not be dramatic. It might not be the tearful reunion you've imagined. It might be quiet. A text, a call, a chance encounter. The bridge of incidents is the law's business, not yours. Your business is the assumption. The how is not your concern. I want to address something that breaks my heart because I see it constantly. People come to me and say, I did everything right. I did SATs perfectly. I looped the scene. I felt it real. And nothing happened. And when I questioned them gently, lovingly, here's what I discover. They did the technique from the state of desperation. They performed the visualization from the state of someone who is trying to get their person back. They looped the scene while simultaneously thinking, please let this work. Please let this finally be the thing that brings them back. Do you see the contradiction? You cannot manifest from a state of wanting. Wanting is the assumption of not having. And what you assume, you experience. So when you do this scene tonight, you must do it from a completely different place. Not from, I want them back. From, they are already mine. Not from, please let this work. From, of course this is true. Not from hoping. From knowing. And if you catch yourself slipping into hope or desperation or anxiety while you're looping the scene, stop. Breathe. Return to the feeling. This is not about perfect execution. This is about the state underneath the execution. Let me give you a few indicators that you're doing this correctly. First, during the day, you'll notice you're not thinking about them constantly anymore. Not because you're suppressing the thoughts, but because when something is already yours, you don't obsess over it. You think about them the way you think about your furniture, occasionally, fondly, but without the charge. Second, when someone asks about your situation, you'll notice a shift in how you answer. Before you might have said, we broke up, or they left me, or I'm trying to get them back. Now you'll find yourself saying something like, we're working through something, or we're in a good place. Not as a lie, as a truth from a different level of reality. Third, and this is the biggest indicator you'll stop feeling jealous. When you hear they're seeing someone else, or you see them with another person instead of the knife in your chest, you'll feel nothing. Maybe even mild amusement. Because in consciousness, you know the truth. That's temporary. You are permanent. When these three things are true, when you stop obsessing, when your language shifts, when jealousy dissolves, your assumption has taken root. And manifestation is no longer coming. It's inevitable. Now I need to tell you about the 48-hour rule itself, because there's a reason I chose that number. 48 hours is long enough for your subconscious to begin reorganizing your reality. It's long enough for the assumption to settle. It's long enough for you to prove to yourself that you can hold the state, even when nothing appears to be changing externally. But it's short enough that you won't spend weeks in doubt. You won't have time to spiral. You won't have time to start questioning whether this works or searching for a different technique. 48 hours, 2 days. You can hold faith for 2 days. Here is what you do for 48 hours after your first SAT session. With this scene, you make one commitment. Every time you think of them, and you will think of them, you instantly return to the feeling of the scene. Not the scene itself. The feeling. That's settled, knowing that they're yours. Someone says their name. You return to the feeling. You see something that reminds you of them. You return to the feeling. You catch yourself hoping they'll reach out. You return to the feeling. Every single time, without exception, within 5 seconds. This is what I call the redirect practice. You're training your consciousness to default to the state of having instead of wanting. You're making the wish fulfilled your new normal. And I promise you, if you do this, truly do, this not half-heartedly attempt this within 48 hours, your entire internal reality will have shifted. And once the internal shifts, the external must follow. It's law. Let me tell you about one of my students. She came to me destroyed. Her partner of 7 years had left her for someone else. Not just left, moved to another state. Started a whole new life. She was convinced it was over. Done. Impossible. I gave her this exact scene. 10 seconds. They're home. Eye contact. Settled knowing. I told her to loop it every night and redirect every day for 48 hours. The first night, she cried through the entire practice. She couldn't feel it real because the pain was too loud, but she kept looping. The second night, easier. The third night, she told me something shifted. The scene started to feel more real than her empty apartment. 7 days later, not 48 hours, but 7 days, her ex called. I can't explain it, they said, but I can't stop thinking about you. I made a mistake. Can we talk? 3 weeks later, they moved back. And when I asked her what it felt like when they walked through the door, she said something I'll never forget. It felt exactly like the scene. Like they'd always been here, like they never left. That's the power of consciousness. That's the power of assumption. That's the power you hold right now, in this very moment, whether you realize it or not. Now I need to address the elephant in the room. Some of you are thinking, but what if they're toxic? What if the relationship was unhealthy? What if I shouldn't actually want them back? I'm not here to tell you who to manifest. I'm not here to judge your desires or decide whether they're worthy. I'm here to teach you the law, and the law is neutral. It doesn't care whether your desire is wise or foolish, healthy or unhealthy. It only cares what you assume. But I will say this, if you're using this to try to control someone who has clearly communicated they don't want to be with you, you're not manifesting from love, you're manifesting from lack. And anything created from lack will eventually return to lack. The most powerful manifestations I've witnessed were from people who genuinely believed in consciousness, that they and this person belonged together. Not from ego, not from desperation, from a deep knowing that this union was right true and meant to be. So before you do this scene, ask yourself, am I doing this from love or from fear? From wholeness or from emptiness? Because the state you do it from is the state you'll manifest from. If the answer is fear or emptiness, work on yourself first. Use this technique to manifest self-love, wholeness, peace. And watch what happens. Often when you become whole, either they return in a completely transformed way, or someone even better enters your reality. Let me give you the complete protocol one more time, so there's no confusion. Tonight before sleep, enter SETS. Loop the 10-second scene until it feels natural. Release into sleep. The next 48 hours. Every time you think of them, return to the feeling within 5 seconds. Don't visualize the scene during the day that's exhausting. Just return to the feeling. They're mine. Of course they're mine. After 48 hours, continue the nightly SATS practice, but with less effort. By now the assumption should feel more natural. You're not creating anymore, you're maintaining. Throughout, live from the end. Make decisions as someone who is in a fulfilled relationship. Not to impress them, not to make them jealous, because that's who you are in consciousness. When they return, not if, when don't be surprised. Don't make a big dramatic deal of it. Just receive it as the natural unfolding of what was always true. Because in consciousness, it was always true. Here is what I want you to understand. Above everything else, you are not powerless. You have never been powerless. Not when they left. Not when they blocked you. Not when they moved on. Not when months or years passed. Your consciousness is the only power there is. It's the only power there has ever been. Everything else, every circumstance, every situation, every person's behavior is just consciousness pushed out. And what has been pushed out by one assumption can be pulled back in by another. This is not manipulation. This is not forcing. This is alignment. You are aligning yourself with the version of reality where you and this person are together. And when you align with something in consciousness, it must appear in your world. Not as a reward for good behavior. Not because you did the technique correctly. Because that's how reality works. Consciousness creates. Always. Without exception. So stop waiting for them to change their mind. Stop waiting for circumstances to shift. Stop waiting for the right moment or the perfect words. Start assuming. Start being. Start living from the reality where what you desire is already done. And just watch how quickly the three-dimensional world scrambles to catch up. I want to close with something that might sound strange, but has been proven to me over and over. They are already thinking about you. Right now, as you read this, somewhere in their consciousness you exist. Maybe they're suppressing it. Maybe they're fighting it. Maybe they're telling themselves they're over you. But consciousness is connected. When you shift your assumption about them, you create a disturbance in the field that connects you. They feel it. They can't help but feel it. This is why students call me shocked. They reached out and said they couldn't stop thinking about me. They said they didn't even know why they were calling. It wasn't random. It wasn't coincidence. It was consciousness responding to consciousness. When you loop that scene tonight, when you feel them there with you, know that somewhere, maybe not consciously, but deep in their being, they feel it too. You are not just imagining. You are creating. You are calling them home, not to you, but to the truth of who they are in relationship to you. And they will answer. They always answer. Because consciousness is law, and law never fails. So tonight, my dear friend, you begin. Not with desperation, not with fear, not with the energy of someone who is trying to get something they don't have, but with the quiet, settled certainty of someone who is simply returning to what has always been true. They are yours, not because you're manipulating them, because in consciousness, the only place where anything is ever truly real, they never left. Loop the scene, feel it real, live from that truth, and in 48 hours, you will not be the same person you are right now. You will be someone who knows, and knowing is having. This is the law. This is the way. This has always been the way. Now go and prove it to yourself.